Richard Tice, the leader of Reform UK. And I'll start, Mr. Tice, by saying congratulations. It is a tremendous showing, but you're still not quite getting enough of the chair, as Natasha was explaining. Morning to you.
Thank you. Good morning. Well, yes, we're delighted with our best two ever by-election results in Kingswood at just 10.4%, 13% in Wellingborough, outperforming our previous results. And we've answered the critics who said none of our by-elections ever meet the national polls. Well, we clearly have, and we're making progress. Look, every party always wants more votes. We've got a lot more to do. But to answer the simple question from the chairman of the Conservative Party about Reform voters, let me tell you, Reform voters don't want a Conservative government either, given how they've broken Britain. And that's why people are voting Reform, because of the policies that we're putting forward. The country's in a terrible state. I forecast that we would sadly slip into recession when I gave a press conference at the beginning of January. And sure enough, yesterday morning, we've seen that actually Rishi's plan is not working, contrary to what he says. It's failing. We're in recession. And our position to the country is that Keir Starmer's plan for growth won't work either.
Well, let me put the other point, or another point, that the chairman said to my listeners, which is the success that you've enjoyed. It's just like a reboot of Clacton, which was Rochester, which is now Wellingborough. It never actually, parties in your predecessor parties never actually deliver. How would you respond?
So is he suggesting that actually you should never have another Democratic Party stand in elections? I mean, I thought the Tories believed in free markets and competition, for heaven's sake. If they weren't so afraid of us, then they wouldn't be adopting that stance. They're sort of retreating into their shell. Look, we've got very different policies in order to create some growth in this country, to stop mass immigration, and to get rid of the huge, very costly, job-destroying net zero, and it's quite right those are put to the British people.
I'm glad you mentioned quotes very different policies, Mr. Tice. In the first hour of the show, I took a call from Andrew in Halifax. He was overjoyed. He's a Reform Party supporter. But this is what he told me when I asked him what more he wanted to see from your party.
You need to flesh out some more policies in other areas. You've already got a very dedicated number of followers on the issues that you do stand on, myself included. But it does need to be broadened out to things like health and education, and I hope that they'll do that in due course.
Now, just to remind my listeners, Mr. Tice is here to take your calls at the end of the month, February the 27th, so put that in your diary. Richard Tice, Reform UK leader, taking your calls. But just referring back to you now, Mr. Tice, that is one of your supporters, and he is making the point, which some in the media have, where are you on education, where are you on health, Richard Tice?
Well, I'm delighted because actually we've got a huge spring rally in Doncaster a week tomorrow, the 24th of February, and we will then, at that event, be releasing what we call our election contract. It's essentially our version of a manifesto, and that will cover all of those issues with a range of bold policies.
Well, can you give us one? I don't want to rain on your parade.
I'm afraid I'm going to hold back and resist that temptation.
All right.
But the great thing is you've got me 3 days later.
Yeah.
There'll be some policies there that I think will
okay. But Mr. Tice,
people.
can we at least say this, Mr. Tice? Can we at least say there will be initiatives in the field of health, there will be initiatives in the field of education?
Across the full range, the full spectrum, we will have policies covering all of those that we think are the right way to organise and run the country.
Look forward to welcoming you into this studio later in the month. Richard Tice, leader of Reform UK. That date for your diary one last time, February the 27th.